obviously not to this extent. And I think the ceiling that Alex Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm going to bring in a little boxing here because my dad wanted me to be a boxer, but I chose tennis. But Manny Pacquiao.
Good call.
Manny Pacquiao, we saw him when he, was at the top of his game. And alongside Roger Federer, he actually had more prize money.
Sports analysts are currently going all out. They are completely refusing to hold anything back. These experts are not hedging their words or softening their bold statements with carefully crafted diplomatic language. They are pushing their chips to the center of the table and definitively declaring Alex Eala as the single most famous female tennis player in the entire Women's Tennis Association universe right now. Even before the prestigious Indian Wells tournament has officially kicked off, and well before the tournament brackets have been drawn, the excitement is already peaking. The entire conversation surrounding professional tennis is already being entirely dominated by one single individual, and that extraordinary name is Alex Eala. Current players are all taking notice. From the absolute greatest legends of all time to the rising stars, everyone is pointing in the exact same direction and echoing the exact same powerful sentiment. Alex Eala is undeniably the biggest draw in women's tennis today, and the entire sporting community needs to fully and completely recognize her monumental impact. Tennis experts are taking it a step further, elevating her status above icons who constructed legendary careers and left permanent, undeniable marks on the sport. The former Grand Slam champion Ana Ivanovic, while sitting on a highly respected expert panel, delivered a profound statement that genuinely shocked everyone in the room. She stated that Alex Eala has already surpassed the sheer fame and widespread recognition that legends like Sania Mirza spent an entire career building. And she framed this observation with the utmost respect. She made it absolutely clear that this observation was not meant as a slight against the incredible legends who paved the way before her. Rather, it was an honest acknowledgement that the global attention and fierce fan devotion Eala is currently generating is something the world of professional tennis has simply never witnessed at such an enormous scale and rapid speed. And then, Ana Ivanovic took the conversation to an entirely new height. She elevated everything to a completely different level. Speaking as a former Grand Slam champion and a woman who triumphantly conquered the clay courts of Roland Garros, as someone who stood proudly at the very top of the global world rankings, she intimately knows exactly what it feels like to carry the immense weight of an entire sport's attention squarely on her shoulders. Ivanovic stepped forward and delivered a stunning comparison that quite literally stopped the entire tennis world right in its tracks. She vividly compared the massive impact Alex Eala is having on the tour to the cultural earthquake Manny Pacquiao caused in boxing during the absolute peak of his athletic powers. She noted that Eala is not merely competing at the highest tier. She is actively pulling the entire glaring spotlight of the sport directly onto herself and effortlessly compelling the whole world to lean in and watch. Ivanovic remained absolutely crystal clear in the powerful remarks she went on to share with the audience. If Alex Eala keeps pushing forward exactly the way she is right now, and if she continues competing at this phenomenal level, absolutely nothing can stop her. The very pinnacle of women's tennis is no longer just a distant dream for her. It is the inevitable destination she is already steadily marching toward with every single match she plays and every vibrant hard court she confidently steps onto. Therefore, I genuinely believe that if Eala can just continue excelling with her incredible tennis skills, truly, who knows how far she can go. The sky is the absolute limit for her both on the court and off the court, and she could undoubtedly be securing unimaginable success on all fronts. What makes this unfolding narrative even more deeply compelling is the fact that these seasoned experts are not solely focused on her impressive match results. They are intensely focused on discussing the remarkable content of her character and exactly who she is as a human being. They continuously highlight the graceful way she carries herself, showcasing profound humility and a deeply genuine respect both for the historic game and the people who surround her. When mentioning her stunning victory over reigning champions like Iga Swiatek, top analysts have specifically highlighted that she flatly refuses to let the blinding spotlight inflate her ego. She handles the overwhelming attention exactly the way the truly historic greats always do. She handles everything with pure grace, maintaining a quiet confidence and a remarkable groundedness that instinctively makes people trust her and passionately root for her success. That beautiful combination of elite tennis prowess and a genuinely authentic character is incredibly rare to witness. It is precisely the kind of magic that the sport constantly searches for and often struggles to find, yet Alex Eala possesses it entirely naturally.
Last year when she beat Iga Swiatek, and she kind of did it with a lot of grace and humility, and it was really, for me, it was terrific to see her take that match and watch her play after that and watch her try to continue to progress, because I like her game. Obviously she wants to get better than where she is now.
Then Sam Querrey confidently stepped forward to weigh in on the conversation as a former Grand Slam finalist. As a man who competed fiercely at the very pinnacle of professional tennis and who deeply understands the complex dynamics of this sport from the inside out, Querrey made a remarkably direct and powerful declaration. He firmly stated that Alex Eala is the single biggest draw in the entire Women's Tennis Association right now, meaning she is not just among the biggest or merely in the conversation, but she is the definitive biggest, period. He emphasized that she has reached an unprecedented level of drawing power in terms of raw attention and pure excitement, a status that elevates her above every single other player on the tour in that enormously important category. Without fail, she commands the stage every single time. Whenever she steps onto a tennis court, a palpable shift happens in the atmosphere that simply cannot be artificially manufactured and absolutely cannot be replicated by anyone else. The energy is completely organic, entirely real, and uniquely hers alone. And Querrey actually went a step further to say something genuinely striking. He boldly suggested that several of the top 10 players in the entire world, including dominant forces like Aryna Sabalenka, are absolutely taking notice. These are phenomenal women who have dedicated their entire existence and poured their souls into reaching the absolute summit of this demanding sport. These are accomplished women who have actually hoisted the biggest championship trophies this game can possibly offer, and they might very well be watching the absolute frenzy unfolding around Alex Eala and feeling a certain complex way about it. They are undeniable champions who have successfully conquered every single formidable mountain that professional tennis has to offer. Yet, the massive wave of intense attention and fan devotion that follows Eala everywhere she goes is something they have clearly noticed, and something they simply cannot easily ignore. Querrey spoke those words because the current reality on the ground in professional tennis absolutely demands that level of unfiltered honesty. She is undeniably the biggest draw in women's tennis right now, and the answer to that is a resounding yes. People constantly ask if she is a bigger draw than Sabalenka or if she is bigger than Coco Gauff, and the honest truth is that her current momentum is absolutely crazy. She is commanding the exact same electrifying effect that Carlos Alcaraz was generating on the men's side last year down in Miami. But honestly, many believe her impact is even bigger than his. It truly is a remarkable phenomenon, and you only need to look at the crowds in Doha last week, which were absolutely insane for her matches. That is absolutely correct, and the sheer volume of her roaring supporters confirms it. She is definitively a must-watch player, simply because she is so incredibly talented. But even beyond her skills, you want to tune into her matches just to witness the electric atmosphere she creates on the court. There has to be at least a little bit of natural jealousy brewing among some of the established women on tour as this young girl comes in and disrupts the hierarchy, even if she is not officially in the top 10 yet. Now, this is exactly where the entire narrative deepens even further, because this phenomenon is no longer just being discussed by analysts and television pundits sitting comfortably behind microphones. The actual players themselves are now openly speaking out about her impact. Jessica Pegula, who stands as one of the most highly respected and deeply experienced competitors on the entire professional tour, decided to share her thoughts. She stepped forward and vividly described what she personally experienced when she went head-to-head against Alex Eala at the Miami Open, and the scene she painted was nothing short of extraordinary. Pegula said she walked onto that court and was genuinely astonished by the roaring scene she found waiting for her, as she completely had not expected it. She had absolutely not prepared herself for the deafening atmosphere that was already building inside that massive venue long before a single tennis ball was even struck. The surrounding crowd was truly enormous in scale. The surrounding energy was wildly electric, incredibly loud, fiercely passionate, and emotionally invested in every single point in a manner that Pegula admitted she simply had not anticipated. She deliberately used the word insane, and she meant every single syllable of that description as the absolute highest possible form of professional admiration, as she was not complaining, but rather completely marveling at the sight. She realized she was standing inside something genuinely historic, and she deeply knew it as she proceeded to make a point that carried enormous weight within the tennis community. She specifically noted that whether the event was taking place in Miami, the Australian Open, or all the way in Dubai, the effect remained exactly the same. Alex Eala has consistently brought the absolute biggest crowd support of any player currently on the entire professional tour. And she does this not just once in a while, but consistently across completely different continents, distinct tournaments, and various stages of the long season. People passionately show up for her in staggering numbers that absolutely no other player on the tour is currently capable of generating. Devoted fans literally travel across the globe specifically just to see her compete in person. Dedicated supporters wait in massive lines that stretch far beyond what any normal tennis match would ever produce, purely for the slim chance to be sitting inside the stadium while she works her magic on the court. That kind of incredibly deep, highly magnetic connection between a singular player and a massive global fan base is precisely something the professional tennis world has been desperately trying to cultivate in new international markets for many years. Yet here is Alex Eala, effortlessly delivering that exact connection without any artificially manufactured marketing campaign, achieving it purely through the undeniable force of her raw talent, her vibrant personality, and the compelling power of her personal story. Week after grueling week, as she steps onto the court, she consistently proves her undeniable worth. She has performed exceptionally well and firmly established herself as a truly formidable player on the professional tour, and consequently, her massive legion of fans all come out in full force to support her journey. We clearly witnessed that overwhelming phenomenon down in Australia when the venue became dangerously overcrowded simply because organizers mistakenly placed her on a court that was far too small for her massive audience, and we saw that exact same energy replicated here. You could literally hear the deafening roar of her supporters all the way from the nearby hotels, with the crowd screaming passionately into the night, making the entire experience feel absolutely incredible. The grand stage of the Australian Open ultimately showed the entire watching world exactly how incredibly real this massive phenomenon truly is. The chaotic scenes unfolding directly outside the stadium during her crucial matches were unlike anything that historic tournament had witnessed in a very long time, with desperate fans standing outside in absolutely massive numbers. Endless queues stretched out as far as the eye could see, completely filled with hopeful people holding on to the slim dream that they might somehow find a miraculous way inside the packed arena. Tragically, many of those devoted fans never actually made it through the stadium doors to see her play. They had spent significant amounts of their hard-earned money and precious time traveling all the way down to Melbourne, only to end up standing outside the venue, listening intently to a roaring crowd they could not join, and hearing the cheers for winning points they could not even see, yet they happily stayed anyway, because simply being physically close to the magic still meant the world to them. That incredible loyalty perfectly illustrates the profound depth of emotion that Alex Eala effortlessly inspires in people all around the globe. That is exactly how incredibly far this deep devotion goes. And then the legendary Novak Djokovic decided to add his incredibly powerful voice to everything that was already being actively discussed. He is widely regarded as the absolute greatest tennis player in the entire history of the sport, standing alone as a man holding more Grand Slam championship titles than anyone who has ever lived. He is a man who has intimately experienced professional tennis at every single imaginable level for well over 2 remarkable decades. Djokovic proudly stepped forward and unequivocally called Alex Eala the absolute greatest tennis player the nation of the Philippines has ever produced, firmly stating without any hesitation whatsoever that she deserves every single bit of profound respect and widespread recognition this sport can possibly give her. He also deliberately spoke directly about the highly questionable way her match scheduling and specific court assignments have been recently managed by organizers at various major tournaments. He made his ultimate stance incredibly known to the entire tennis world. He made it absolutely and entirely clear that in his expert view, the way tournament officials have handled her matches has not always accurately reflected her true superstar status or her undeniable, massive drawing power. When Novak Djokovic makes a profound statement like that, the entire international tennis community immediately stops whatever it is doing and listens closely. This is undeniably the greatest player of all time, personally standing up and declaring that Alex Eala absolutely deserves better treatment, emphasizing that the sport fundamentally owes it to her and her millions of devoted fans to finally do right by her. Unfortunate scheduling situations like that certainly do happen from time to time in the chaotic world of professional sports. One could certainly argue that it was simply a poor scheduling decision and that tournament organizers definitely could have placed her on a much larger court. However, it is also highly important to remember that she is still incredibly young and is just now breaking through the fiercely competitive ranks of the professional tour. The massive conversations surrounding Alex Eala are completely understandable given her unique background, especially since she proudly hails from an incredibly supportive nation like the Philippines. Her rapid rise has become an enormously big deal simply because she is definitively the most successful tennis player to ever emerge from that fiercely proud country. That massive nation is generating immense interest, drawing the focused attention of leading analysts, former Grand Slam champions, active tour players, and the absolute greatest legends of the sport. The greatest player who ever lived is completely aligned with the widespread consensus that Alex Eala is the undeniable next global superstar of the women's tour, making her the most intensely discussed name today, heading into the prestigious Indian Wells tournament. She is the singular phenomenal force actively generating massive electricity long before a single competitive point has even been played. Furthermore, when she finally walks out onto that stadium court, every single eye across the entire tennis world is going to be locked in and watching, simply because that is exactly the captivating effect Alex Eala has on people. She effortlessly forces the entire world to stop and watch her perform. And now, I genuinely want to hear what all of you out there have to say about this incredible phenomenon. I am highly curious if you genuinely believe Alex Eala is truly the most famous competitor in the Women's Tennis Association right now, or if you feel the massive media hype is perhaps getting a little bit ahead of her actual tournament results. When you hear an absolute legend like Ana Ivanovic directly compare her global cultural impact to that of the iconic Manny Pacquiao, I wonder if that bold comparison truly resonates with you or if it simply feels like a massive overstatement. I also want to know your honest thoughts regarding the absolutely wild, electric atmosphere that Jessica Pegula so vividly described experiencing firsthand during the Miami Open. Please let me know if you have ever personally witnessed that specific kind of overwhelming crowd energy for a young rising player before, and feel free to drop all of your thoughts down in the comments section below. Ultimately, the biggest question remains whether Alex Eala is the absolute real deal or if this is simply a fleeting moment that we need to see her sustain over a longer period of time before we officially crown her as the undisputed new face of this women's tennis.